Well, folks, the Buffalo Bills suffered their first loss of the season, and I'm breaking it all down today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino from the Draft Network, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Happy Monday to you, and thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day. And as a reminder to you, we are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Well, the Buffalo Bills fell to the Miami Dolphins 21-19 and dropped to 2-1 on the season with the Dolphins. Now, the only undefeated team in the AFC at 3-0. What a weird game. All the injuries before the game, all the injuries during the game. You have 31 first downs to their 15. You have 497 total yards to their 212. You possess the ball for 41 minutes to their 19. You run 90 offensive plays. They run 39. You only turned it over once. You have every opportunity to win your 21st consecutive game by double digits. Instead, you lost by 2. Why? Some really, really sloppy football. Of course, injuries played into it, but it comes down to sloppy football. Before I get into that sloppy football, which we're going to talk about in segment 2, I want to get into 2 things. First of all, and this is something that I've resisted for a while, but the Bills have to prove themselves more capable in one-score games. It's fun boat racing teams. Really fun. And the Bills are really good at that. 20 wins in a row by 10 or more points. That's insane. But what about when that doesn't happen? We've already talked about this several years ago on the podcast. Over 50% of NFL games are settled by one score. That's the most common end result for a football game. The Bills are 0-7 in one-score games dating back to the start of last season. Like I've said to you already, I've been dismissive of it because in 2020, they were 5-1 in one-score games, but they've lost the last 7. You have to be able to embrace those types of game scripts. I mean, the Bills did all the stuff they needed to do to win this game convincingly, but they got in their own way, and because of that, it became a much closer game. And the Bills have got to prove that they are able to embrace that type of game script. So for as dismissive as I was about that last year, and even when I was asked about it this offseason, 7 in a row, 0-7. The boat racing is fun, but you have to be able to win games when they're tight too. And what sucks about it is you can go back and point to all 7 of those games and say, well, you had opportunities this time. Josh Allen slipped against the Titans. The Jaguars game. 13 seconds. You can go back and point to something, but we got a whole lot more than a trend. This is 7 one-score games in a row the Bills have been on the losing side of. Secondly, the injuries are just insane. I mean, insane. Who knows what reality is right now in terms of who's available for next week and what the status of so many players is? You entered this game without Dane Jackson, Micah Hyde, out for the year, Jordan Poyer, Mitch Morse, Ed Oliver, Jordan Phillips, not to mention Trey White. Just, you're not even with them to start the game. Then how many players left during the game? Ryan Bates, Isaiah McKenzie, Jake Kumaro, Christian Benford, Dawson Knox, Spencer Brown, Greg Van Roten. I mean, it was insane. I mean, you have 2 practice squad defensive tackles, a practice squad offensive lineman out there. Your starting safety and corner tandem has a combined 3 starts. And then the guy with the most starts there, too, Christian Benford, gets hurt, and you got to put a practice squad player, a UDFA, in there to go play in the game. Insane. I mean, talk about attrition. And yet, despite all that, you statistically dominate a football game, but you don't have enough points to win it. For all the yardage, for all the plays run, for all the time of possession, the Bills' offense didn't score 20 points. They only scored 3 points offensively in the second half of the game. 3 points in the second half. That has nothing to do with Poyer or Hyde or White or Jackson or Phillips or Ed Oliver. That has nothing to do with those guys. 3 points in the second half for all the yards, for the plays Josh Allen did make. 3 points in the second half. Some very, very sloppy sequences cost the Buffalo Bills this football game. And we're going to talk about this game a little bit differently than usual. Typically, we do things I like, things I didn't like. But there's some bigger storylines to get into today. And if there's something I did like from this game, it was the defense. I mean, for as shorthanded as they were, they limited Miami to 15 first downs and 212 yards. That has to result in a win. And it didn't. Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. It can be very difficult to focus on solving problems when you are facing challenges in life. If that's the case for you, I strongly recommend trying therapy. A therapist can help you become a better problem solver, making it easier to accomplish your goals no matter how big or small. We've all had situations in life when we need someone to talk to, and I encourage everyone to be open to therapy. If you're ready to try therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's convenient, accessible, affordable, and I love this, it's entirely online. You just fill out a brief survey, you'll get matched with a therapist, and look, you can switch at any time. I love that too. When you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can help get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/lockedon. So let's talk about why the Bills lost this football game and what I'm focused on. Because I'm focused on some really sloppy sequences. And we'll go through them chronologically in terms of the game script. The first sloppy sequence came early, first quarter, when the Bills gifted Miami a touchdown. So the Bills score a touchdown on their opening drive for the 8th consecutive game. They force Miami to punt on the Dolphins' first possession. You get the ball back. And I hated this sequence. 2 inside zone run plays with Zach Moss. On first and second down, it gets to 3rd and 8 before you can blink. And then that 3rd and 8 play call felt like it came in late. The offense wasn't settled. Josh got to the line late, got all of his checks done late. Felt like the guys were late lining up. You barely get the snap off. They overload blitz and get a strip sack. I thought that was a completely wasted possession. Not just that you ran 2 inside zone plays that didn't have a chance, but also just that 3rd and 8. Like it felt like the Bills went into that script, right? It was a scripted sequence where it was going to be Zach Moss, and third down, and they never thought it was going to be a 3rd and 8. And that play you just kind of felt like it was doomed from the start. It's a wasted possession. You give Miami the ball at the 6. Easy touchdown. You gift wrap them 7 points. The next sloppy sequence. The fumbled snap before the end of the half on the spike. The defense does a great job of getting the offense the ball back before the half, right? Miami took possession with 3:47 left in the half, and they get the ball first in the second half. That was a great opportunity for Miami to get points on 2 consecutive drives without Josh Allen touching the football. It's that middle 8, right? You ever heard about this? The middle 8 of the game, the last 4 of the first half, first 4 of the second half. A lot of games are won and lost right there, and Miami was in great shape, taking possession of the ball at 3:47 and getting the ball first in the second half. Well, the Bills defense answers the call. They force a punt. And the Bills offense takes possession with 1:38 left in the second half at the Bills' 30-yard line. You're thinking about getting points here. You're driving, you get the ball down to the 34-yard line. The Dolphins 34, it's a 52-yard field goal, well within Tyler Bass's range. Josh Allen just needs to spike the ball to stop the clock. You get up to the line of scrimmage with plenty of time to do that. The snap is bobbled, and therefore you can't spike it. I understand you can't spike the ball because it has to be a continuous motion, so the bobble ruins that. But then he throws it to Diggs, and it's nearly picked off. And, of course, the clock runs out. And so maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, okay, he did what he had to do. No, just throw the ball over Diggs' head out of bounds. You just clock the ball in a different way. You can't spike it, but you can still throw an incomplete pass and give yourself a chance to field goal. Points left on the board. You lost by 2. How about Gabe Davis's drop touchdown? That one hurt bad. I mean, the offense is completely gassed. You're watching this, right? It's 120 degrees on the field. The Bills offense runs 90 plays. This was a 20-play drive. It was the 18th play of a 20-play drive where you took possession of the ball at your own 2. It's 2nd and 11 from the 11. Josh Allen, and everybody's gassed, right? They're gassed. Ryan Bates goes down like a couple plays before. You're wondering, are you going to be able to get out of this game? Do you have enough energy to play? Josh Allen drops a dime to Gabe Davis in the back corner of the end zone. Gabe catches it 2 feet down. He didn't finish the play. Keon Crossan, a special teams player for the Dolphins, pulls it out. So if you see this from the Dolphins lens, you're saying great play by Keon Crossan. If you're looking at it from the Bills lens, you're saying Gabe's got to finish the play. Well, he didn't finish the play. That was a tough drop. Bills offense has to settle for a field goal. They go up 17-14 and not 21-14. Points left on the board. How about the Matt Milano pick 6? And it's hard to be critical of Matt Milano. He's playing such great football to start this year. But in a game like this, a star player like that's got to make the play. Got to make the play. You come out of the half 14-14. You force Miami to punt on their first possession. Then you get the field goal on the possession that you should have scored a touchdown, but Gabe Davis didn't catch the touchdown pass. Again, 20 plays, 87 yards. You're up 17-14, 3rd and 2. Tua throws the ball right to Matt Milano, right to him. Wouldn't have been a hard play. Didn't ask him to do anything extraordinary. Easy pick 6. He dropped it. And then to make matters worse, they punt it to you. You drive it 60 yards and miss a 38-yard field goal. Was it blocked? I don't know. I don't care. It was missed. It didn't go through. You didn't get points. More points left on the board. So you go Gabe Davis drop touchdown pass, settling for a field goal, to a drop Milano pick 6, to a 60-yard drive where you miss a field goal. Sloppy. That's not good fundamental complementary football. When Sean McDermott talks about complementary football, this is what he's talking about. Offense, defense, special teams, doing the right thing, playing fundamentally sound, playing off of each other, and winning ball games. That's the opposite of it. Where your offense can't execute in the red zone, you miss a field goal, your defense does its job and gives the ball back, even though they had a chance at a pick 6, and then you get the ball back and miss a field goal. That's bad, bad, bad complementary football. in a tight ball game. You can play great complimentary football when you're boat racing the Titans and the Rams, huh? What about when you're in a tight brawl with the Dolphins in South Florida and it's hot outside? Let's keep going. 3rd and 22. 3rd and 22. You have Miami in a 3rd and 22, so you missed the field goal. Miami takes possession. You have them in a 3rd and 22. What do the Bills defense do? What do? They contain rush with 3, drop 8, and you contain rush with Von Miller, Daquan Jones, and Boogie Basham. Contain rush. Von Miller's playing over a tight end and chips a tight end. Von must have been 20 yards away from Tua. Must have been 20 yards away. Contain rush. They're expecting some type of screen or draw or something like that. And you give them middle of the field open coverage. Tua had 3.52 seconds by my watch from a clean pocket with no threat of pass rush to allow Jalen Waddle to hit his double move and get open down the middle of the field. What in the world? The only thing they can do to convert that 3rd and 22 is to hope for a penalty or to have enough time to allow one of their speedy guys to get behind your secondary. And that's exactly what they did, and the Bills made that possible because they contained rush 3, dropped 8, and left the middle of the field open for Jalen Waddle to hit a double move and get free down the middle. You got to play regular there. You got to rush 4, and you got to play regular. Don't concede it. The Bills have been, a couple times this year, the Bills have been in 3rd and longs and let teams off the hook because they're not playing aggressive enough on defense in those situations. Got him once again. And then they go on to score a touchdown. 3rd and 22. Contain rush 3. Then you have multiple chances to take the lead, right? Multiple chances. They go up 21-17. 10 minutes left in the ball game. You get the ball. 17-play, 73-yard drive. No points. No points. You have them 1st and goal from the 2. Josh Allen's your quarterback. 1st and goal from the 2. No points. And folks, let's face it, he flat out missed Isaiah McKenzie in the front corner on that 4th and 2. It's got to be a touchdown pass. You got to make the play. He one-hopped it to Isaiah McKenzie. And maybe Josh's hand was hurt or whatever. He got an x-ray after the game. And I know it's always hard to put blame on Josh Allen for something, but you got to hit the throw. You got to hit that throw. He one-hopped it to McKenzie. He was open, 4th and 2. Didn't love that zone read play call on the first and goal from the 2. I hated that. But you had to play. You had to play right there. 17 plays, 73 drives, 10 minutes left in the game. Down 4. Josh Allen, your quarterback. 1st and goal from the 2. No points. Then you get the ball back. The defense does their job. In fact, they're so backed up, they wind up doing the safety, right? Thomas Morstead punts the ball into his own guy. It's a safety. You get 2 points and the ball. Now a field goal wins it. And you could argue that maybe that safety was the worst thing that could have happened for the Bills because you rather just take possession of the ball at around the 40 and just have to score a touchdown. But that's not how it goes. You embrace the script and play the game. Field goal wins the game. You get a second chance. 1:33 left, no timeouts. Field goal wins it. You get to the Miami 43. Holding. Backs you up. Never saw a replay there. Have no idea what happened. And then the last play of the game, there's 18 seconds left. Time expires. 18 seconds left. I know you don't have a timeout, but 18 seconds to run a play and clock it. Josh Allen steps up, gets the ball to Isaiah McKenzie, who could not get out of bounds. And then they couldn't get up to the line quick enough to spike the ball. Time expires, game over. You had your chances. You had your chances. I'm not sure what more you can ask for. Make the plays. Make the plays. I know you're injured. I know it's hot. I know you're tired. Make the plays. Finish the game. The Bills earned that L today. We all know when it comes to sports, teamwork is everything. Every player on the field has their role that contributes to helping the team win. And honestly, it's the same when it comes to game day snacking. Whether it's making the dip or bringing the chips, everyone has their role. And if it's you bringing the chips, let me tell you, I'm about to make you the MVP because Zach's Mighty Tortilla Chips is out here changing the game. These are the best tortilla chips out there. My wife and I love them. We love making dips. You have the buffalo chicken dip or spinach dip, or we like putting some tortillas in our chili. Well, what I love about them is they never break. They're sturdy, they're delicious, they're crunchy, they're made to dip. You never have to worry about them breaking in half when you dunk them into guacamole. And I also love that they're made from organic Flint corn that is grown in upstate New York. So be the hero at this week's tailgate and grab a bag of Zach's Mighty Tortilla Chips at your local Wegmans. Zach's Mighty Tortilla Chips, making you the MVP. So, folks, I'm not always going to go through and do like a play-by-play type situation. But for this game, I felt like it was necessary because you look at the statistical output of this game and there's no way it's 21-19 and you lose. How did it happen? Well, that's how it happened. I just went through it. Those sequences are bad football. And the game script just really surprised me. It really surprised me. The Bills lost this game. They were banged up, and I certainly recognize the impact that has on a football game. But a lot of this goes back to the offense. A lot of this just goes right back to the offense. And they almost had 500 yards, but you got to score. You got to score more. You can't go first and goal from the 2. You can't drop touchdown passes. Things that have nothing to do with not having Hyde, Poyer, Oliver, Phillips, Jackson. Things that had nothing to do with those guys not being available. If Miami went out there and threw the ball all over a depleted secondary, that's one thing, but they didn't. They had 212 yards. They had 212 yards. They had 15 first downs. They had the ball for 19 minutes. They ran 39 plays. What more could you ask for from your defense? Put them in a better spot on 3rd and 22. Don't ask them to defend a 6-yard field. That's one thing you can do. I don't like that. I just don't like how this game script went. Now, what's the big picture implication here? The Bills are 2-1. They're going to play the rest of the season. Let's see what this looks like in January. Everything the Bills want to accomplish is right there. Von Miller said it best after the game where he said this is good medicine, like it should be, right? Those are all potentially very good things. Nothing changes about the outlook or the expectations. Obviously, get healthy. You could dominate a football game and lose. That's a good reality. That's the league. That's why I keep saying on this podcast, humility in the NFL is only a week away. It doesn't matter that you had 500 yards to their 200. It doesn't matter. You lost the game. So let's look at my predictions real quick here. I did pretty good here, except for one. My first prediction was Tua is no longer the NFL's passing leader after this game. I nailed that. Josh Allen had 400 passing yards. That'll at least put him in first place. I don't know what Wentz, Flacco, or Herbert did, but I know that Tua's not leading the league in passing anymore, as I suspected he wouldn't be after this game. Number 2, I predicted that Greg Rousseau's sack streak continues. Yes, it did. Had 1.5 sacks in this game, 3.5 sacks. Maybe he has 4. Maybe he has another half, but he has at least a sack in 3 consecutive games to start the year. Number 3, as I said, Miami would have under 75 yards rushing. I was right about that. They had 41. Bills are out there with friggin' Prince Emili and Brandon Bryant playing defensive tackle. Held them to 41 rushing yards. I said both teams don't get into the 30s. I was right about that. Neither team got into the 30s in terms of points scored. So I go 4 for 4 there, but then I predicted that the Bills would win. So I had the game script to an extent figured out, but offense let me down. It's crazy to say the offense let me down. 497 yards, 30-something. How many? 35 first downs? 31 first downs, 497 total yards, 41 minutes of possession, 19 points. It's tough. Next up for the Buffalo Bills is a road date with the Baltimore Ravens. We'll get you ready for it this week on the podcast. Tomorrow is Herd Mentality. We'll record that tomorrow afternoon and get that out for you guys. Wednesday, our primer. We'll break down that Ravens team from every angle. Thursday, there's a crossover Thursday. We'll speak with Kevin Ostreicher of Locked On Ravens. Get ready for the game. And then Friday, final thoughts, predictions, and of course, banged up Bills, who's got a lot. He's got a lot on his plate once again this week. We'll be obviously paying very close attention to the injury reports this week. But there you have it. The Bills are 2-1. A lot of season left. Bills won the division last year. They were 7-6 at one point. Remember this? 7-6. Went to the playoffs when the Bills were boat racing the Patriots in the playoffs. Were you thinking about that week one loss to the Steelers? Be all right. It's a long season. Play them all. See what it looks like at the end. I like what we got. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us here today on the podcast. As always, I would love it if you took a second to rate, review, share, and subscribe. Have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to catching up with you again tomorrow.